Alright, so we're going to be on REDSHIRE, guys, in the T54 lightweight, and this game, pretty good, man. It's not super close, but by statistics, this was a really good game, and I'm going to show you guys how I go about playing REDSHIRE and why you kind of have to be careful playing from this spawn. It really depends on what the enemy team is going to do, although you could say that for a lot of maps, right? But what I like to do, especially in a tank like the T54 lightweight that has really good mobility, is I'll make this pass. You can see I'm even spotted here, right? We got spotted like right here, which would likely mean that somebody here spotted me. It's also possible the T49 came like to this bush in the mid or something, but I was lit coming up here. I'm so confident with the T54 lightweight, being that it has some turret armor and that I can just kind of crest this ridge ever so slightly, that I will not get hit here. And even if I do, it's maybe one person hitting me and it's like not a big deal. I'd rather make this pass and look at everyone we spot and all the information we give the team. We're only getting, actually we get 1,000 there because I think a couple people hit the Scorpion as he was going dark. But even if it's not that much spotting, to me it's not that big of a deal. I want to give the team as much information as possible. We're actually able to relight the RHM from here as he's poking back up, and we're already at 2k spotting. And this is why I feel like this portion, like this south side of the map, kind of has the advantage here, because from the north, all you can really do is either sit in this bush here or sit in the one up here. You really can't make this play. You can try and counter a light here, but it's just very risky, man. Like, the way this map works, I feel like it's pretty easy to run this ridgeline. You just have to be really careful about people over here, right? So I'm getting a little more aggressive. Lova's able to hit me here, Sharfooter's able to hit me here. Luckily, we don't take any damage from the Char, and I just have to be really cautious, again, of people over in this area. Because they made this ridgeline now over here, this happened months and months ago, probably like over a year ago now. They made this ridgeline to balance out REDSHIRE, so the tank destroyers sitting here can't get those shots anymore because it was kind of unbalanced. So now once your heavies, or their heavies I should say, get to this area of the map, they really have to poke up over that ridgeline to hit you, and most likely they won't do that. So you're actually safer than you used to be to make this run here along this ridgeline. So I do it a couple times, I take one hit, and now I'm trying to be a little more careful, man. I can go and do it again, but I like to try and like meander in this area instead of running all the way down here, because some people are kind of ready for it now, right? So I like to try and get into here. If I can, I'll knock these trees. But the problem is you have to get pretty close, and then you're like pushing your luck, right? You can see I got lit here probably by the TVP or someone else in this area, and we're able to spot him, but it's just like you're really pushing your luck if you're going to try and get here and knock these trees down, because you're pretty close, right, to people on this this ridgeline up here. So you run the ridgeline, guys. I like to knock these trees, approach into this bush line once I advance more and more. And as long as no one's here, because this is the issue, right? A lot of tank destroyers like to sit in these trees. As long as there's no one here, you should be okay to make this play. You just have to watch out for that. So we're getting a shot into the Char here. We're at 4k spotting, guys. 4k spotting, man. Like, this is how you need to play REDSHIRE if you're not going to be contested here. Take advantage of this. The T49 did not contest me here. And even when I play from the other spawn, I like to try and play the mid, right? And get shots. Like, if this light tank, for instance, if I'm the T49 on the enemy team, right, and this T54 lightweight is someone else, and he's poking this ridgeline, I like to actually be up here because I might be able to get shots into him. But usually from the start is what I'll actually do now is, if I don't go to this bush, I'll run this ridgeline myself from the start, from the north spawn. So that's how I like to counter it. To see if that light tank is going to make that play. And what I'm going to do here is actually hug the T49, right? So I'm pushing in. Type 59 is now coming after me. He bounces me here. I hug the T49 and give him the front of my tank because I know that he can't pen with the HE shells, right? I mean, he might, if he really aimed it like right into here, it's possible, but with the HEs, he should not be able to pen me frontally, because if he's even an average player, he's just going to shoot the front of the turret, and you can see that here. Like, he put it right into the front of the turret, and it hit me for, what, 103? So this is what the HEs do now, man. So I wasn't really concerned about being penned from him, so I'll face hug him, and I'm good, and, we take 103 damage, and that's how you can kind of counter those T49s, and even the tier 10 version of it if they have that derp gun, right? Like, just try and find armor on your tank and hug them, um, even if you're in a light tank that doesn't have quite as much armor, you can like angle it at a 45-degree angle and at least try, you know. But it's tough, man, you know. So that's a good thing about the lightweight, is it has that turret armor and some frontal hull armor where you can mitigate that quite well, I'll say. So now we're just going to go after that heavy over here, like the M3Y or 4Y or whatever the heck it was, 6Y. I don't know these tanks, man. You know, they confuse me all the time. But it's a M6Y. It looks like we clean him up, put a shot into his lower plate, and then these guys clean up the arty, and this is our final score, man. I think we did it pretty well, but again, guys, just to go back and talk about this ridgeline one more time. If you're on the north spawn and you're in a light, so I'll kind of show you what I do over here, because in a way, you really should counter this, right? So if you're in this area, right, and what the enemy light tank is likely going to do is sit here to be safe, but they're going to want to poke like this. They come up like this and then run back down. That's what I did, right, a couple of times. And then what you can do is also like poke these little trees here, and you can make tiny little passes like that as well. Like, it doesn't have to be some aggressive pass like this. I'm just showing you guys what it looks like. What you can actually do is, from the start, if you're north spawn, come like right here, come to this bush line right here, or you can even run up by this rock here like this and just do something like this. Like do like a hairpin, or, you know, like a button hook or whatever you want to call it, man, pass, just to see if the light tank's there so you can counter them. Because what you're likely going to do is either come to this area as a light tank, like this whole area, or you're going to sit in this bush line. This is what a lot of people like to do. And the reality is, if you sit in this bush line, a couple of times out of 10, usually an enemy light tank is good enough to counter that, and then you end up here, there's tank destroyers sitting here, you get lit here, and now you're still, and you have to try and run back like this, and you're going to get whacked. So that's why I try and counter that first, or I'll just come to here. But you also want to try and counter the light tank. If you're over here and there's only one light tank per team, well, then you're not really countering the enemy light. So that's why it's tricky, man. It's really tricky from the north spawn. Like, I prefer to just come here, or I'll make a quick pass and see if they're there. If they're not, then I can experiment in the mid, or I can sit in this bush line and try and just spot people in the mid. So that's what I would urge you guys to do. It's tricky, it's challenging, man. REDSHIRE's a challenging map. There is also the option, and I see people do this, man. There is also the option of running down this bush line and trying to counter the enemy light. I don't like this at all. If this works for you, do it, guys. But I'm telling you, when you go through this little area here, as soon as you get spotted by the enemy light, you're going to get absolutely destroyed from people sitting in this area. You're going to get whacked like no tomorrow, man. Because these tank destroyers, as soon as they see you here, they have easy shots going like this, man. So that's kind of challenging, man. If the other light tank is not out here, though, you can get more creative out here. You know, if these other people aren't going to spot you, maybe if there's no one in this area or whatever, if you're in a sneaky tank, man, I've done it before, you can get through here and poke like right in here, or even get into this bush line, and then you'll actually outspot people in this area as well. It's all about feeling out the enemy team, seeing where the enemy light or lights go, right? And those are your options really on this map. So if the enemy light takes this location, you're almost SOL, because then you have to try and counter it and do the best you can do. If they don't take this area, I guess it's good for you. Then it's really good for you, right? Because you can use this area to spot the enemy team. However, honestly, man, I'd rather almost win the mid. Like, you win the mid and then just run this ridge line like this, because it's a lot easier to do. It's a lot easier to do from this like froze on me a little bit. There we go. I find, okay, that running the ridge line from the north spawn going south is a lot easier than doing it south to north, right? Because over here, you're like, if you run this ridgeline like this and go back like that, you're leaving yourself wide open to tank destroyers in the back, right? Especially people that were on this ridgeline. I have to keep moving the camera, man. This ridgeline right here that sit like in this bush and trees or whatever, they're gonna wreck you. But if you do it from over here, because of the way this ridgeline works, it's almost like this. Like, that's almost the way the ridgeline is. I'm exaggerating it, right? But it feels like when you run over on this side, you're leaving yourself open. If you do it over here, you can cut back a lot quicker and get back. So you can, it's much easier to like do this, right? You guys understand what I'm saying? Sometimes it's hard for me to like describe this in words. Like I really would rather show you guys in the actual game, but we didn't have to do that. Obviously, we weren't coming from the north spawn, and you can run this ridgeline and spot the south much easier. Or I'm sorry, from the south, you can spot this area much easier just from running this ridgeline. Like you don't have to do this aggressive pass, but the way I see it is the only map that I know of that's perfectly balanced is Ghost Town. So on REDSHIRE, like in most other maps, you don't have this equal left and right side or north and south side, right? So that's how I see it. I think it's much easier to run this ridgeline and stay safe from people in the back, because some tank destroyers will sit back here, some will sit here, but it's just the way the ridgeline works, man. It's just so, it's not balanced, right? Like it's like this. So it's just easier to do, you know, if you're going north to south. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that that gives you a lot of options on REDSHIRE, because REDSHIRE is a good map for light tanks, guys. It really is. I like REDSHIRE. I like other maps more, but REDSHIRE is it's one of those maps that's up there for good, or at least decent light tank maps, right, where you can get a good amount of spotting damage. So try all those plays out. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. Let me know what you guys think, but that's how I see this map, and we'll get into the end plates. So this was a first class game, guys. 5,035 spotting, 1866 damage. We got these two badges here, and move on to the detailed report first, actually, and then I have the team score last, I'd assume. 11 shots fired, 8 hits, 7 pens, and here's everything you guys probably want to see, and then we'll just take a quick look at the team score. If you guys recognize any names, you know, feel free to let me know. I don't think we had any baboons in here or anything, but that's all, guys. We ended up being top by experience here. I don't know, like third or fourth by damage or something like that, and I thought it was pretty good to show you guys this one. So hope it helps you out on REDSHIRE. I will catch you guys for the next video. Take care, and bye-bye now.